Welcome back to English Today Journey. This is the place where we don't just learn English, but also explore ideas that can help us grow as people. Every day, we can improve the way we express ourselves in English, but we also get a chance to understand life a little better. Today, we're going to talk about something you have probably heard many times before. That topic is kindness. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Kindness again? I already know what it is. But I want you to pause for a moment and really think about it. Kindness is not just about saying please or thank you. It is not just about being polite or smiling at someone. Kindness is bigger than that. It is a powerful force that can change the way we live, the way we think, and the way we connect with other people. It can even change how we see ourselves. Kindness is something that helps others, yes, but it also helps you. Have you ever noticed how good it feels when you do something kind? Maybe you comforted a friend, smiled at a stranger, or listened carefully to someone who needed to talk. That warm, happy feeling inside is not random. It is real, and science can explain it. Psychologists have discovered that acts of kindness trigger chemicals in our brains that make us feel calm, happy, and connected. This is sometimes called the helper's high. When we spend our time, energy, or attention on helping others, our brain actually rewards us. In other words, when we are kind to others, we are also kind to ourselves. In this episode, we will explore kindness from many different angles. We will look at it through science, emotions, and even culture. We will see why kindness is not just a nice idea, but an important part of living a happy and healthy life. But before we go deeper, let's ask a few simple questions. When was the last time you listened to your inner voice? Was it kind to you, or was it harsh and critical? How often do you say supportive things to yourself? Kindness doesn't only happen outside of us. It starts within. If we can be gentle, understanding, and patient with ourselves, it becomes easier to extend the same kindness to others. Think about small acts of kindness. They can be as simple as holding the door open for someone, complimenting a classmate, or helping a neighbor carry something heavy. Even small gestures make a difference. Every time you do something kind, you create a ripple. That ripple can spread to others in ways you might not even notice. One smile can lead to another smile. One helping hand can inspire someone to help another person. Kindness has a way of multiplying. Kindness also changes how we see the world. When we focus on being kind, we start noticing the good in people and in situations. We become more patient, understanding, and less judgmental. We start seeing challenges as opportunities to help and grow. And the amazing thing is that this doesn't just make life better for other people, it makes life better for us, too. Every time we choose kindness, we create a little bit more happiness for ourselves and for those around us. So, as we continue today, I want you to slow down and really think about how you can practice kindness. Not just the obvious ways, but in small, everyday moments. The world is full of opportunities to be kind, and every small act counts. Today, we will explore why kindness matters, how it works in our brains, how it shapes our emotions, and how it connects us to other people. By the end, I hope you see that kindness is not just a simple act. It is a way of living that brings joy, connection, and growth to everyone, including you. Have you ever thought about how much of what you do every day comes from intention, and how much just happens automatically? Our daily habits often guide our actions without us even realizing it. These questions matter because kindness isn't only about how we treat other people, it's also about how we treat ourselves. The way we speak to ourselves, whether gently and patiently or harshly and critically, shapes our whole mental world. Being kind to yourself is just as important as being kind to others. Kindness can even help you become stronger. Psychologists call this resilience, the ability to bounce back when life gets difficult. Life is full of challenges, and sometimes it can feel overwhelming or unfair. But small acts of kindness, both to yourself and to other people, can help you feel steady and grounded again. They remind you that goodness exists in the world and that you have the power to create it. A smile, a kind word, or a little patience with yourself can make a real difference. Of course, being kind is not always easy. Sometimes it can feel tiring or even a little scary. You might worry that people will take advantage of your generosity, or maybe you're just too busy, stressed, or exhausted. And that's perfectly normal. Kindness doesn't mean ignoring your own needs or stretching yourself too thin. That's why mindful kindness is so important. Mindful kindness is kindness with awareness. It means caring for others without forgetting about yourself. It means helping from a place of strength, not from exhaustion. When we practice mindful kindness, it becomes something natural and rewarding, not a rule or a chore. It becomes a habit that makes life better for everyone, including yourself. Small acts, like listening carefully to a friend, helping someone in need, or even speaking gently to yourself, can grow into something bigger over time. They create a ripple effect, spreading positivity and connection wherever they go. Kindness is not just about actions. It begins in our hearts and minds. At its core, kindness comes from empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand how someone else feels and to share in their experience. It's more than just feeling sorry for someone or reacting to their problems. Empathy is about truly stepping into another person's shoes and seeing the world through their eyes. When we practice empathy, it helps us respond with care, patience, and understanding. This, in turn, strengthens our relationships and deepens our connection to others. But empathy also works inward, toward ourselves. When we learn to understand and accept our own feelings, we can treat ourselves with the same patience and compassion we offer to others. Being kind to yourself is not selfish, it's necessary. It gives you the energy and balance to give to others without losing yourself in the process. Every kind word you speak, every gentle thought you have for yourself, and every small act of help you offer, all contribute to a richer, more connected life. So, take a moment now to relax. Maybe sit in a comfortable spot, breathe deeply, and think about the ways you can bring kindness into your day. Kindness is not just a simple act or a polite word. It is a deep, meaningful human experience that connects us with ourselves and with the people around us. When we choose kindness in our words, thoughts, and actions, we don't just make the world a little better, we also make ourselves a little better. It's a practice that grows, spreads, and transforms everything it touches. True empathy is more than just noticing someone else's feelings. It is active. It means taking the time to imagine what it really feels like to be in another person's shoes, to see the world from their perspective, and to sense what they might be going through. This isn't always easy. Being empathetic often requires us to step away from our own thoughts, put aside our assumptions, and truly be present with someone else. That can feel uncomfortable because it asks us to let go of our own ego, even if only for a little while. But this is exactly what makes empathy, and, by extension, kindness, so powerful. It changes us. It helps us grow beyond ourselves. Closely connected to empathy is compassion. Empathy allows us to feel what someone else is feeling, but compassion takes it a step further. Compassion moves us from feeling to action. When we feel compassion, we don't just recognize that someone is in pain. We feel a genuine desire to help them. Compassion turns warm feelings into meaningful acts. It is the difference between saying, "I'm sorry you are struggling," and actually doing something to help. This is where kindness becomes visible. It is no longer just a feeling inside us. It becomes something we show through our words and actions. However, not every act of kindness comes from pure compassion. Sometimes we do kind things for other reasons. Maybe we feel we have to, maybe we want to fit in, or maybe we hope to get something in return, like approval, praise, or recognition. This type of behavior is often called transactional kindness. It is when we give but also expect to receive something in exchange. While this is still helpful to others, it is very different from true altruism, which is helping simply because we want to support someone without expecting anything back. Understanding this difference is important because it helps us be more honest with ourselves. It encourages us to reflect on our actions and motives. Ask yourself, when was the last time you helped someone? Did you do it because you genuinely wanted to make a difference in their life, or did you do it for another reason? Self-reflection like this can be difficult, but it also allows us to grow. The more we practice true empathy and compassion, the more natural kindness becomes. We start helping others without needing a reward or recognition. We learn to give from the heart, and we discover the joy that comes from seeing others feel supported and cared for. True kindness doesn't just benefit the person receiving it. It also shapes us. When we act with empathy and compassion, we become more understanding, patient, and connected to the people around us. These qualities strengthen our relationships and create a positive cycle. Our kindness encourages kindness in others, which comes back to us in unexpected ways. Over time, practicing genuine kindness can transform not only our actions but also our thoughts, our feelings, and our view of the world. In short, kindness is not just a nice gesture or a polite word. It is a conscious practice that grows from empathy and compassion. It asks us to step beyond ourselves, understand others, and act from a place of genuine care. It is about giving without expecting, about noticing without judging, and about supporting without hesitation. This is the kind of kindness that changes lives, both ours and the lives of those around us. When we act with true empathy and compassion, kindness becomes more than a behavior. It becomes a way of living, a force that spreads quietly but powerfully through every part of our day. Have you ever helped someone and wondered why you did it? Did you hope for something in return, even something small like a thank you or recognition? Thinking about these questions isn't meant to make you feel guilty. It's about becoming more self-aware, understanding the thoughts, feelings, and motivations that guide our actions. When we reflect like this, we can see whether our kindness comes from the heart or from expectations. Kindness is also shaped by culture. What feels kind in one place may look very different in another. For example, in many Western societies, kindness is often shown openly. People give compliments, offer help directly, or express encouragement with words. In contrast, in many East Asian cultures, kindness can be quieter and more subtle. People may show care by listening carefully, avoiding conflict, or giving support without calling attention to themselves. Even small gestures like making eye contact, giving a hug, or offering a gift can carry very different meanings depending on where you are. This reminds us that kindness isn't one size fits all. It is a flexible practice that reflects the values, traditions, and emotions of each community. To see the power of kindness in action, let's look at a story from history. The story of Oskar Schindler. During World War II, Schindler was a German businessman who could have stayed quiet and protected himself. But he chose differently. He risked everything to save more than 1,000 Jewish refugees. He employed them in his factories, shielding them from persecution and death. Schindler's kindness wasn't a small or simple act. It was a bold, courageous, and compassionate choice that defied the cruelty of his time. Schindler's story teaches us an important lesson. Kindness can be more than politeness or generosity. It can be a form of resistance. It can be a way to stand up for what is right, even when it is dangerous. True kindness has the power to transform people, communities, and even the course of history. It is not always easy, and it often requires courage, selflessness, and creativity. But the impact of genuine kindness can be enormous, far beyond what we can immediately see. Small, everyday acts of kindness may not change the world overnight, but they do create ripples. Smiling at someone, listening with care, or offering help can influence the way people feel and act. Over time, these small gestures add up. They build connections, foster empathy, and strengthen the sense of community. And when we combine these small acts with larger, courageous choices like Schindler's, we can truly see the full power of kindness. Kindness is not just about what we do, It's about how we approach life. It is about noticing others, being sensitive to their needs, and acting with compassion. It is about understanding that our actions can affect others in ways we may never fully know. And it is about learning that every act, big or small, contributes to a more caring and connected world. So, as we reflect on this, remember that kindness is flexible, courageous, and transformative. It is shaped by culture, guided by empathy, and expressed through both simple gestures and brave acts. Every time we choose kindness, we make the world a little better, and we make ourselves better, too. Kindness is more than soft words or gentle smiles. It is a choice, a moral strength, a way to bring light where there is darkness. When practiced deeply and sincerely, kindness doesn't just change the people around us, it changes us, too. It teaches us patience, understanding, and compassion. It helps us grow as individuals and strengthens the connections we have with others. One of the most beautiful examples of kindness in everyday life is the idea of random acts of kindness. You may have heard this phrase before. It means doing something good for someone without expecting anything in return. It could be as small as paying for a stranger's coffee, leaving a kind note on a coworker's desk, or offering a sincere compliment to someone who seems down. These gestures might seem tiny, almost invisible, but they have a powerful effect. Think of it like throwing a pebble into a pond. The splash is small, but the ripples spread far and wide. Kindness works the same way. A single thoughtful act can brighten someone's entire day, and that person might then feel inspired to pass it on. Over time, these small ripples can transform the mood and energy of a whole community. That's the magic of random acts of kindness. They're given freely, not because we have to, and not because we want recognition, but simply because we choose to care. And when kindness is offered in this way, it brings genuine joy both to the giver and the receiver. When we look deeper at kindness, we see it as more than just polite behavior or social rules. It is a dynamic balance between feeling and action, between caring for others and being aware of ourselves. Practicing kindness requires more than manners. It requires courage, because opening your heart makes you vulnerable. It requires self-awareness, because we must understand our own thoughts, feelings, and limits before we can help others effectively. Kindness also involves empathy and compassion. Empathy allows us to understand how someone else feels. Compassion moves us to act on that understanding. Together, these qualities turn simple gestures into meaningful actions. They remind us that even small acts, when done sincerely, can have a ripple effect that changes lives. Even in difficult situations, kindness can be a quiet but powerful force. It doesn't always have to be grand or heroic. Sometimes it's simply noticing when someone is struggling, offering a word of support, or being patient with ourselves and others. These small, everyday acts help create a world where people feel seen, valued, and cared for. In the end, kindness is not just a habit or a rule, it is a way of living. It is a practice that combines thought, action, and emotion. It is choosing to make life a little better for someone else, while also making ourselves better in the process. Random acts of kindness, empathy, and compassion all show that kindness is a living, growing force. It spreads quietly, touches many lives, and transforms not just others, but the giver as well. When we choose to act with kindness, we are choosing to create ripples of positivity that can reach far beyond what we ever imagine. Kindness takes intention. It doesn't happen by accident. True kindness is a choice you make, again and again, every day. It requires awareness of both the people around you and your own feelings and limits. It also requires thoughtfulness, considering how your actions affect others, as well as how they affect yourself. Being kind isn't just about being polite or agreeable. It's about making conscious decisions to act with care, empathy, and understanding in everything you do. When you think about kindness, try to go beyond the familiar idea of simply being nice. Ask yourself, How does kindness show up in your life? How does it shape your relationships, influence the way you talk to yourself, and affect how you respond to the world? Kindness has many layers, from quiet empathy and subtle support to bold acts of compassion and courage. When you notice all these layers, you begin to see how kindness can transform both your personal life and even your work life. Practicing genuine kindness makes your inner world richer and strengthens the connections that make life meaningful. Kindness is not just a moral choice, it is also good for you, scientifically speaking. Psychologists and neuroscientists have discovered that kindness directly benefits your mental health, emotional resilience, and even your physical well-being. Whenever you help someone, whether it's volunteering, listening to a friend, or even holding the door for a stranger, your body responds in a remarkable way. Your brain releases chemicals that make you feel happier, calmer, and more connected. One of these chemicals is endorphins, the body's natural painkillers, which make you feel good and reduce stress. Another is dopamine, a neurotransmitter linked to joy, motivation, and reward. Together, these chemicals create what scientists call the helper's high. You may have felt it before, the warm, glowing feeling that fills you after doing something kind. It's not just your imagination, it's your biology. Your brain literally rewards you for being good. It's similar to the runner's high that athletes experience after a long workout, except this one doesn't require running. This shows that kindness is not only good for the people we help, it is also good for ourselves. Small acts of kindness, repeated often, can increase our overall happiness, reduce stress, and even improve our physical health. They create a positive cycle. When we act kindly, our brains respond with feelings of joy, and those feelings encourage us to act kindly again. In this way, kindness becomes a habit, a natural part of how we live and relate to the world. So, as you think about kindness today, remember that it is an active choice, not just a casual gesture. It requires intention, awareness, and courage. It changes the way you see others, the way you talk to yourself, and the way you experience life. The science proves that being kind doesn't just make others feel good, it makes you feel good too. When we combine thoughtful, deliberate actions with the joy that kindness brings, we create a life that is richer, happier, and more connected. Kindness is not just a habit or a moral rule. It is a force that shapes both our inner world and the world around us. Kindness affects more than just our minds. It changes our bodies too. One important chemical involved is oxytocin, often called the love hormone or bonding hormone. Oxytocin is released during moments of trust and connection. When you hug a friend, comfort someone who is sad, or show generosity, your body produces oxytocin. This hormone helps lower blood pressure, reduce stress, and create a deep sense of calm. It's like your body's saying, "You are safe here. You belong." That's why acts of kindness don't just make people happy. They create connection, comfort, and a feeling of belonging. But science shows that kindness does even more. Thanks to neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and adapt, regular acts of kindness can actually reshape your brain over time. Imagine your brain as a network of roads. Every thought, feeling, and behavior travels along a path. The more you travel a path, the smoother and stronger it becomes. When you practice kindness often, you are building new roads in your brain, pathways that make empathy, patience, and positive thinking easier to access. Over time, your brain starts to favor compassion over criticism and connection over isolation. In other words, kindness literally rewires your brain, helping you feel happier, calmer, and more resilient. Practicing kindness works like exercising a muscle. Just as lifting weights makes your muscles stronger, performing kind acts strengthens your emotional and psychological fitness. Each act of kindness, whether large or small, builds patience, understanding, and resilience. People who regularly practice kindness tend to recover more quickly from challenges. Not because their problems go away, but because they develop the strength to cope better. Their brains are trained to respond with calm, compassion, and positive thinking, rather than stress or frustration. Kindness also improves your social connections. When you act kindly toward others, it encourages trust, cooperation, and warmth in your relationships. It is a positive cycle. Kind actions increase oxytocin, which makes you feel good, and that feeling motivates more kind actions. Over time, these patterns of behavior and brain activity become stronger and more natural. Kindness, then, is not just a moral choice or a social habit. It is a biological and psychological advantage. Even small gestures count. A smile, a helping hand, a listening ear. These everyday acts of kindness are shaping your brain and your life. Each one strengthens the roads that make empathy and connection easier. Over time, these small, repeated acts create a mind that naturally leans toward compassion and understanding, even in difficult situations. Kindness becomes an internal habit, something that flows naturally rather than something you have to think about. In short, kindness is both powerful and practical. It creates joy and calm, strengthens your brain and emotions, and helps you recover from challenges more quickly. Every kind action builds pathways in your mind that make future acts of empathy and generosity easier. Practicing kindness is like investing in yourself and the people around you. It grows over time, shaping your life and the world in quiet but meaningful ways. When we choose kindness, we are not only helping others, we are building a better, stronger, and happier version of ourselves. Kindness doesn't just make others feel good. It has powerful effects on your own mind and life as well. Studies in positive psychology, the science of what makes life meaningful and fulfilling, consistently show that people who practice kind behaviors, even small ones, report higher levels of happiness, satisfaction, and purpose. They also experience less stress, anxiety, and depression. Kindness isn't just about feeling good for a moment. It helps build a stronger, more stable foundation for long-term well-being. When you help others, something subtle but important happens in your mind. Your attention shifts away from your own worries, self-doubt, or fears. Instead of replaying stressful thoughts or negative self-criticism, your mind focuses on connection and contribution. This simple shift can break harmful thought patterns, giving your brain space for calm, confidence, and perspective. Over time, acts of kindness train your mind to respond with more positivity, patience, and understanding. Kindness also strengthens one of the most essential parts of human happiness: connection. Humans are social beings. We naturally need to feel seen, valued, and part of something bigger than ourselves. When you act kindly, whether it's helping someone, listening carefully, or simply being present, you reinforce these connections. And these connections provide emotional support when life gets tough. This creates a positive cycle. The more kindness you give, the stronger your relationships become. The stronger your relationships, the more kindness and support you receive in return. This sense of belonging and mutual care is a key ingredient in emotional resilience, the ability to recover and stay hopeful when facing challenges. Of course, kindness is not always easy. It can take real effort to be patient, generous, or understanding, especially when you are stressed, tired, or overwhelmed. And it's important to remember that kindness should never come at the cost of your own well-being. Giving endlessly without caring for yourself can lead to exhaustion, frustration, and even resentment. That's why mindful kindness is so important. Mindful kindness means acting with awareness and balance. It's about caring for others while also respecting your own needs, boundaries, and limits. Mindful kindness allows you to give in ways that are sustainable, effective, and fulfilling. It's the difference between helping someone because it drains you and helping because you are fully present and capable. When you practice kindness this way, it becomes a habit that benefits both you and the people around you. It helps create a life in which compassion, patience, and empathy are natural parts of daily living. Even small acts matter. A warm smile, a thoughtful word, or a few minutes spent helping someone can start a ripple that spreads far beyond what you see. These small actions, repeated over time, strengthen relationships, improve your mental and emotional health, and create a more positive, supportive environment for everyone. Kindness is not a one-time effort. It is a lifelong practice that grows as you nurture it. In the end, kindness is both a personal and social force. It improves your well-being, strengthens your relationships, and builds resilience for life's challenges. By practicing mindful kindness, you create a positive feedback loop in which giving, connecting, and receiving support all reinforce each other. It is a skill, a habit, and a way of being that shapes not only your own happiness, but also the happiness of those around you. Kindness, when practiced thoughtfully and consistently, transforms your mind, your heart, and your world. Kindness works best when it is practiced with awareness and balance. This means knowing your limits, being gentle with yourself, and giving from a place of genuine care, not because you feel obligated. When you realize that kindness isn't just a moral duty but also a way to build your mental and emotional strength, it starts to feel different. It isn't self-sacrifice, it is self-nourishment. Think of kindness as an exercise for your mind and heart. Every small act of care, helping someone, offering a kind word, or simply listening, gives your inner self a gentle workout. Over time, this practice strengthens resilience, peace, and happiness. Kindness doesn't just benefit others, it trains your brain and heart to respond with warmth, patience, and understanding, even in difficult situations. One of the most surprising effects of kindness is how it transforms your inner voice. That constant stream of thoughts running through your mind, commenting on what you do, how you look, or how well you are handling life can be either encouraging or harsh. Sometimes it reminds you of your strengths and gives you courage. Other times, it criticizes, exaggerates fears, or repeats negative beliefs that hold you back. This inner voice has a big influence on how you see the world and yourself. Here's the fascinating part. Acts of kindness can change that inner dialogue. When you help others, you naturally become more compassionate not only toward them, but also toward yourself. Kindness softens the tone of your inner voice. It teaches your mind to speak with warmth instead of judgment. Over time, as you practice empathy outwardly, you begin to mirror that same care inwardly. You start telling yourself the things you would say to a friend. It's okay. You're doing your best. You don't have to be perfect. This shift from inner criticism to inner kindness has profound effects. It changes the way you handle challenges, the way you relate to others, and even the way you see your own potential. When your inner voice becomes supportive rather than harsh, you approach life with more confidence, patience, and resilience. Small acts of kindness, repeated consistently, create a positive feedback loop. They not only help the people around you, but also transform your mind, making you calmer, stronger, and more emotionally balanced. Kindness also helps you maintain balance in life. By acting with intention rather than obligation, you protect yourself from burnout and stress. It allows you to give without losing energy or peace of mind. This mindful approach ensures that your generosity is sustainable, joyful, and effective. It becomes a habit that naturally shapes your thoughts, emotions, and actions in positive ways. In the end, kindness is both an outward and inward practice. It connects you to others while strengthening your own mind and heart. It helps your inner voice become supportive, your emotions more stable, and your resilience stronger. Each small act, whether a smile, a helping hand, or a kind word, builds a life that is calmer, happier, and more meaningful. By practicing kindness thoughtfully and consistently, you train your brain and heart to respond with compassion, creating a ripple of positivity that touches both you and the people around you. Our inner dialogue, sometimes called self-talk, is the quiet conversation we have with ourselves every day. It's that small voice in our mind that comments on what we do, what we think, and who we are. Even though it is quiet, this voice is very powerful. It affects how we see the world, how we see ourselves, and how we respond to challenges. It can influence our confidence, our ability to handle problems, and even how quickly we recover when life feels difficult. When our self-talk is kind and encouraging, it helps us grow. It gives us strength, comfort, and courage, especially in uncertain times. But when our self-talk is harsh or critical, it can have the opposite effect. Negative self-talk makes us doubt ourselves, fear failure, and feel undeserving of happiness. Many people carry messages like, "I'm not good enough," "I always mess things up," or "I don't deserve love or success." Over time, these thoughts create a kind of mental environment that is toxic. They increase stress, weaken confidence, and limit what we believe we can achieve. It's like living with a constant, quiet voice of criticism in the background that wears you down slowly. Here's the wonderful part. Kindness can change that. Kindness acts like a soothing medicine for the mind. When we show care and compassion to others, something surprising happens. We begin to reflect that kindness inward, toward ourselves. Helping someone, listening carefully, or offering support sends a message to your brain. I am capable of goodness. I am capable of care. Over time, this message softens the inner critic, turning self-doubt into self-compassion. Think of your self-talk like a radio station. When you are caught in negative thinking, it plays a gloomy, static-filled tune full of self-doubt and fear. But when you practice kindness, that station begins to play a new song, a tune of warmth, patience, and hope. Every act of kindness you do for others helps shift the frequency of your mind. It teaches your brain how to respond with empathy, care, and understanding, not only to others, but also to yourself. This creates a positive feedback loop. Acts of kindness make you feel good because your brain releases chemicals like endorphins, dopamine, and oxytocin, which calm you, increase joy, and deepen connection. At the same time, these acts train your mind to be more patient, resilient, and compassionate. The more you act with kindness, the more naturally you begin to treat yourself with the same care you give to others. Slowly, your inner dialogue transforms from a voice of criticism into a voice of encouragement. Even small gestures have a big impact. A smile, a supportive word, or listening to someone who is struggling helps create this feedback loop. You strengthen relationships, improve your emotional health, and retrain your mind to focus on compassion rather than judgment. Over time, this builds emotional resilience, the ability to recover from setbacks with calm and hope, and a sense of inner peace. In short, kindness is not just about helping others, it is also a practice that reshapes your inner world. By showing compassion outwardly, you invite compassion inwardly. Every act of kindness is like tuning your mind to a better frequency, softening self-criticism, and creating a brain and heart that are stronger, calmer, and more capable of joy. Kindness transforms not only the lives of those around you, but also the life you experience within yourself. When you help someone listen carefully or even smile at a stranger, it's like tuning your mind to a new frequency. The negative static in your thoughts starts to fade, and suddenly, you hear something warmer. Your mind begins to play a tune of hope, patience, and understanding. But how does this change really happen? One reason is that kindness broadens your perspective. When you focus on helping someone else, even for a short moment, you step outside your own worries. You see that every person has struggles, insecurities, and imperfections. This awareness creates what psychologists call shared humanity, the understanding that no one is alone in their pain or doubts. Recognizing that everyone faces challenges makes it easier to forgive ourselves for being human. Our inner critic softens because we start seeing ourselves with the same compassion we offer to others. Negative thoughts like, "I'm not enough," "I always fail," or "I'll never get it right," lose some of their power. We begin to see them not as absolute truths, but as passing thoughts, stories we've been telling ourselves that can be rewritten. Kindness helps start that rewrite. After performing a kind act, helping a neighbor, giving a compliment, or volunteering, many people feel a quiet lift inside. Their self-esteem rises, their sense of purpose grows, and new thoughts start to form. I can make a difference. I have something valuable to give. I am part of something bigger than myself. These positive thoughts don't just feel good in the moment. Over time, they begin to replace the limiting ones that once dominated the inner dialogue. It's like slowly rewriting the script of your mind, changing the story from fear and doubt to courage, compassion, and hope. Kindness acts like a mirror. It reflects not only how we treat others, but also how we treat ourselves. When we act kindly outwardly, we reinforce kindness inwardly. Our brain begins to recognize that we are capable of goodness, care, and empathy. Each small act strengthens the mental pathways that make compassion easier to access in the future. In this way, kindness reshapes both our inner world and outer world. This process is not just emotional, it is biological. When we perform acts of kindness, our brains release chemicals like endorphins, dopamine, and oxytocin. These make us feel calm, joyful, and connected. Over time, repeated acts of kindness literally rewire our brain, making empathy, patience, and positivity more natural responses. The more we practice kindness, the stronger our resilience becomes. Challenges feel less overwhelming, and our inner dialogue shifts to one of encouragement instead of self-criticism. Even small gestures matter. A smile, a listening ear, or a few minutes of help can start a ripple effect. That ripple spreads to others and, in turn, reflects back to us, strengthening our sense of connection, purpose, and emotional health. Kindness becomes a practice, a habit, and a way of living. It changes not only how we see others, but also how we see ourselves. Over time, these repeated actions transform fear into courage, self-doubt into confidence, and isolation into connection. In short, kindness is a tool for personal growth as much as it is a way to help others. It teaches empathy, strengthens emotional resilience, and rewires the mind to default to compassion. Every act of kindness, big or small, shapes your inner dialogue, creating a life filled with hope, purpose, and genuine connection. When we practice kindness toward others, something beautiful happens inside us as well. We begin to internalize that same gentleness. It's not about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring real problems. It's not toxic positivity. Instead, it's about balance, acknowledging difficulties while still treating ourselves with understanding instead of harshness. This practice is called self-compassion. Self-compassion means speaking to yourself the way you would speak to someone you love who is struggling, with patience, warmth, and care. Research shows that self-compassion has powerful effects. It reduces anxiety, strengthens emotional resilience, increases motivation, and helps us recover from mistakes more quickly. When we treat ourselves with kindness, our minds and hearts begin to feel safer, calmer, and more capable. Here's a simple question to reflect on. When was the last time you really listened to your inner voice? Was it kind, supportive, and understanding? Or was it critical and judgmental? Becoming aware of this internal dialogue is the first step toward meaningful change. From there, kindness, both outward toward others and inward toward ourselves, becomes a tool for transformation. Every act of kindness, whether it's helping someone, forgiving yourself, or offering a gentle word, sends a quiet message. You are enough. You are growing. You are worthy. The transformation of your inner dialogue through kindness doesn't happen overnight. It is not a quick fix or a single moment of inspiration. It takes time, patience, and practice. Think of it like planting a garden. Each act of kindness is like planting a seed. At first, you might not see any change, but with repeated care and attention, the seeds begin to grow. Over time, your inner garden starts to flourish. Where there used to be thorns of self-criticism and weeds of doubt, small, tender shoots of hope, confidence, and positivity begin to emerge. This process is gradual, but powerful. As your inner garden grows, it influences the way you think, feel, and act. Self-compassion and outward kindness strengthen each other. The more you practice one, the more natural the other becomes. Acts of kindness teach your mind to notice good, to be patient, and to approach challenges with resilience instead of fear. Every kind gesture, no matter how small, contributes to the growth of this inner garden. Even small actions can have profound effects. A warm word, a helping hand, a patient ear, or a comforting smile can begin a ripple that extends far beyond what you notice. Over time, repeated acts of kindness create a lasting change in the way your brain works. Your mind begins to default to empathy, patience, and compassion rather than judgment and fear. Slowly but surely, the inner soundtrack of your life shifts. Where there was once harsh self-talk, there emerges a voice of encouragement, hope, and care. Ultimately, kindness, both toward others and yourself, becomes a lifelong practice. It reshapes your inner dialogue, strengthens your emotional resilience, and transforms the way you experience life. By planting seeds of kindness every day, you gradually cultivate a mind and heart that are calmer, stronger, and more open to joy and connection. When you act with kindness, it's like planting tiny seeds inside your mind. Each kind act, comforting a friend, helping a coworker, or showing patience to a stranger, plants small shoots of understanding, encouragement, and hope. With time and care, these seeds grow into a garden inside your mind. This inner garden becomes a safe, nourishing space where your thoughts support you instead of tearing you down. Next time you do something kind, pause and notice how it affects your inner voice. Does it soften? Does it sound gentler or more encouraging? Can you feel a small shift toward warmth and compassion inside yourself? By paying attention to these moments, you bring kindness not only into your actions, but also into your thoughts. Slowly, this practice transforms the way you experience both yourself and the world around you. Now, let's talk about resilience, the incredible ability to bounce back from challenges, recover after setbacks, and keep going with strength and determination. Many people think resilience is something you are born with, as if you either have it or you don't. But in reality, resilience is like a muscle. It can be developed and strengthened over time. And one of the most powerful ways to build this muscle is through kindness. At first, this might seem surprising. When life gets hard, our natural instinct is often to pull inward, protect ourselves, and focus on survival. That makes sense. But if we stay in that inward state too long, it can leave us feeling cut off, stuck, and alone. Kindness does the opposite. It opens us up, connects us to others, and reminds us that we are part of something larger than ourselves. Choosing to be kind, especially when you are struggling, is an act of quiet courage. It takes bravery to reach beyond your own pain and offer support to someone else. It takes strength to listen with empathy when your own heart feels heavy. And each time you do, you reinforce the idea that you are capable of care, compassion, and connection, even in difficult moments. Kindness also helps train your mind to see the bigger picture. When you help someone, you notice their struggles, fears, and challenges, and you realize that everyone faces difficulties. This awareness creates a sense of shared humanity, the understanding that no one is alone in their pain. Recognizing this helps you forgive yourself for your own mistakes and imperfections. Your inner critic softens because you begin to treat yourself with the same compassion you show others. Small acts of kindness, repeated over time, strengthen both your heart and your mind. They improve emotional resilience, making it easier to recover from setbacks. They build a sense of belonging and connection that protects you when life feels difficult. And they remind you that even in hard times, goodness exists and you are capable of creating it. In this way, kindness is not just about helping others, it is a powerful tool for personal growth. It transforms your thoughts, strengthens your resilience, and changes the way you experience the world. By practicing kindness every day, you quietly cultivate courage, hope, and connection, both inside yourself and in the lives of those around you. When life is stressful or painful, our first instinct is often to focus only on ourselves. But when we choose kindness, even when it's hard, something amazing happens. Our perspective widens. We begin to understand that hardships are universal. Everyone experiences challenges, fears, and disappointments. This awareness reduces feelings of isolation and helps us develop emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions while also understanding the emotions of others. Emotional intelligence is a key part of resilience, the strength to recover and keep going despite difficulties. When you practice kindness, you naturally become better at managing your emotions. You grow calmer during stressful situations, think more flexibly, and become more open to cooperation. Instead of reacting with anger, frustration, or defensiveness, you respond with patience and understanding. This is very different from relying on self-protective coping mechanisms like avoidance, denial, or withdrawal. For example, when someone feels stressed, they might shut down, withdraw from others, or lash out. While these reactions might offer temporary relief, they often lead to more loneliness, tension, and frustration over time. Kindness offers a healthier alternative. It encourages connection instead of isolation. It builds bridges instead of walls. It turns moments of tension into opportunities for understanding and collaboration. Consider a realistic example. A team at work faces a tight project deadline, and everyone is under pressure. One team member, feeling overwhelmed, snaps at a colleague. In many workplaces, this could lead to escalating frustration, people taking sides, and resentment spreading. But in a team where kindness is practiced, the situation unfolds differently. Another colleague might pause, take a deep breath, and respond with empathy. "I can see you're under a lot of pressure. Is there anything I can do to help?" That simple act of understanding can calm the situation, prevent conflict from growing, and create space for collaboration instead of tension. Kindness transforms potentially negative moments into opportunities for growth, support, and stronger relationships. On a personal level, kindness also helps us deal with our own challenges. When we help someone, our minds shift away from our worries and self-criticism. We focus on connection and contribution, which creates room for calm, confidence, and perspective. Over time, these small acts of caring reinforce a positive cycle. The more kindness we practice, the more resilient we become, and the stronger our emotional intelligence grows. Resilience built through kindness isn't about avoiding problems or pretending life is easy. It's about engaging with life fully, even when it's hard, and choosing to respond with compassion rather than frustration. Each act of kindness strengthens our ability to navigate stress, work through conflict, and maintain healthy, supportive relationships. In other words, kindness isn't just something we do for others. It's a tool for building inner strength, emotional stability, and personal growth. By practicing kindness consistently, we gradually change the way we respond to stress, interact with others, and even see ourselves. It transforms challenges into opportunities, tension into connection, and ordinary moments into chances for empathy and understanding. Over time, kindness reshapes both our inner world and our relationships, making life more resilient, peaceful, and meaningful. Sometimes, a small act of kindness can completely change a tense situation. Imagine a team at work under pressure, and one person snaps at a colleague out of stress. In many workplaces, this could lead to frustration, arguments, or resentment. But if another team member responds with kindness and empathy, saying something like, "I can see you're under a lot of pressure. Is there anything I can do to help?" the energy in the room shifts. That one simple, sincere question can break the cycle of anger and invite cooperation. Tension softens, People start working together again, and the conflict doesn't escalate. This is the quiet power of kindness in action. It doesn't just make others feel better, it strengthens the team as a whole. It builds resilience, trust, and collaboration. By choosing empathy over ego and connection over competition, we not only improve relationships, we also improve ourselves. We learn to handle challenges better, adapt to change, and grow stronger through the process. The team member who responds with kindness is doing more than calming a moment of anger. They're helping the entire group become more emotionally resilient. When kindness replaces anger, teams discover an important truth. Challenges don't have to divide people. They can bring people closer if faced with care and understanding. In this environment, individuals feel safe to speak up, admit mistakes, and ask for help. This sense of safety is the foundation of trust and adaptability. Over time, a culture of kindness becomes a team's greatest strength. Stressful situations transform into opportunities for learning, growth, and cooperation. The same principle applies to personal life. Every act of kindness, listening to a friend, volunteering, or even offering a smile to a stranger, adds to your sense of purpose and meaning. Psychologists have found that having a sense of meaning is a key part of resilience. When you know your actions positively impact others, you realize that you matter and that what you do has value. This awareness builds a quiet, inner confidence that helps you face challenges without fear. Kindness also strengthens your emotional flexibility. It teaches you to pause before reacting, to respond thoughtfully instead of impulsively. Over time, these small choices add up, helping you stay calm under pressure, think more clearly, and approach life with a sense of balance. Your relationships benefit too. People respond to your care with trust and support, creating a feedback loop of positivity that enhances everyone's well-being. Even small, everyday acts of kindness can have ripple effects far beyond what you see. A supportive word, a patient gesture, or a helpful action can inspire someone else to act kindly in turn. Gradually, these small ripples create a larger wave of compassion, connection, and resilience in your community. In essence, kindness is not just about being nice. It's about building a life that is stronger, calmer, and more meaningful. By practicing kindness consistently, you create an environment where challenges don't just test you, they help you grow. You develop patience, understanding, and the courage to face difficulties with grace. Every kind act strengthens your inner world and the world around you, turning ordinary moments into opportunities for connection, growth, and resilience. Kindness doesn't just help other people, it also helps you build strength inside. When you choose to be kind, even in small ways, it can help you recover faster from challenges. You start thinking, this is hard, but I can keep going because what I do matters. Acts of kindness give you a sense of purpose and belonging. They remind you that you are part of something bigger than yourself. Building resilience through kindness doesn't mean ignoring your own pain or pretending everything is fine. It's about being honest with your feelings while still choosing to act in ways that create connection and growth instead of withdrawal or bitterness. True resilience isn't about being unbreakable, it's about being flexible. It's about bending without breaking, staying open-hearted even when life is difficult, and showing compassion both for yourself and for others. Strength comes not from shutting down your emotions, but from keeping your heart open in tough moments. Kindness acts as a spark for growth. It can turn obstacles into opportunities and challenges into lessons. It builds courage, emotional strength, and deeper understanding. When you practice kindness regularly, your challenges start to feel more manageable. You feel supported, connected, and more capable of handling whatever comes your way. This is why kindness is more than just a polite act. It's a tool for personal development and resilience. But kindness isn't always easy. Sometimes it feels uncomfortable, complicated, or even risky. That's normal. Facing these challenges doesn't mean you're unkind. It means you're human. Kindness isn't about constantly saying yes to everything or giving until you're exhausted. True kindness requires balance. It's about combining generosity with self-respect. You can care for others without neglecting your own needs. One common challenge is burnout. In today's fast-paced world, where everyone is busy and under pressure, it's easy to give too much and feel drained. Helping others when you're exhausted can actually backfire, leaving you stressed and resentful. That's why practicing mindful kindness is so important. Mindful kindness means acting with awareness, noticing your own limits, and giving from a place of strength rather than obligation. It's about being thoughtful in how you help, making sure you don't lose yourself in the process. Another challenge is risk. Sometimes being kind can make you vulnerable. You might worry about being taken advantage of, misunderstood, or rejected. That fear is natural, but choosing to act kindly despite it is what makes kindness so powerful. True kindness often requires courage. It's about reaching out to others even when it feels uncomfortable, saying supportive words even when you fear they won't be appreciated, or helping someone when it might be inconvenient for you. Those moments shape your character, strengthen your heart, and deepen your connections. Even small acts of kindness matter. Listening to a friend who needs to talk, offering encouragement to a colleague, or simply smiling at a stranger. All of these tiny gestures build resilience. They remind you that your actions have meaning and that you can make a positive difference in the world. Over time, these small acts create habits of care, empathy, and patience, both toward others and toward yourself. Kindness is both a shield and a bridge. It protects you from negativity, stress, and isolation, while connecting you to others in meaningful ways. When practiced thoughtfully, it strengthens your ability to handle challenges, maintain balance, and grow as a person. In the end, kindness is never wasted. It nurtures the world and nurtures you, helping you face life's difficulties with courage, clarity, and compassion. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to stretch yourself too thin. We juggle school, work, family, friends, and other responsibilities, and we often try to help, give, or support everyone around us. While giving is good, doing too much without pause can leave you exhausted. You might feel tired, frustrated, or even emotionally numb. This is called burnout, and it's not a failure. Burnout is just your mind and body's way of saying, I need a break. This is why self-care is essential, not selfish. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you want your kindness to last, you need to refill yourself first. Rest, reflection, and taking care of your own needs allow you to keep giving in a sustainable way. Mindful kindness means knowing when to pause, when to say no, and when to recharge. Sustainable kindness isn't about overworking yourself, it's about balance. When you take care of yourself, your kindness becomes stronger, more genuine, and more consistent. It doesn't feel forced or draining. It feels natural and meaningful. Kindness is powerful, but it isn't always easy. Sometimes it can feel confusing, uncomfortable, or even risky. A big part of practicing kindness is learning to navigate these challenges. True kindness isn't about perfection or giving all the time. It's about awareness, balance, and courage. One common challenge is skepticism from others and even from yourself. You might wonder, why is this person being kind to me? What do they want? Or you might question your own motives. Am I helping because I care? Or because I want to feel good about myself? These doubts are normal. In a world where so much feels transactional, genuine kindness can seem suspicious or even naive. But it's important to remember that kindness doesn't have to be perfect to matter. Even small, imperfect acts can create a ripple of positivity that spreads far beyond what you see. Sometimes, helping others can feel risky or uncomfortable, especially when people might not respond the way you hope. You might fear rejection, criticism, or that your effort will be wasted. That's a natural feeling, but choosing to act kindly even in those moments is what makes kindness meaningful and courageous. True kindness often requires bravery. It's about reaching out despite uncertainty, offering help without expecting anything in return, and taking action even when it feels inconvenient. Another challenge is motivation. Sometimes we give because we feel we should, or because we want recognition or approval. This isn't bad, but it's different from pure kindness, which is giving simply because you care. Reflecting on your motives helps you act with more awareness and honesty. Understanding your intentions makes your kindness stronger and more sincere, and it helps you grow as a person. Even small gestures matter. Listening to a friend, encouraging a colleague, or offering a smile to a stranger may seem tiny, but these actions create connections, lift moods, and strengthen both the giver and the receiver. Over time, these small acts build habits of care, empathy, and patience. They also help you develop emotional resilience, the ability to stay strong and flexible in the face of challenges. In short, kindness isn't just about what you do for others. It's about how you care for yourself, how you face challenges, and how you stay connected. Balancing generosity with self-respect, acting with courage, and giving thoughtfully all make your kindness more meaningful. It's a skill you can learn, a habit you can practice, and a way to strengthen your heart and mind while making the world a little better every day. Even if your acts of kindness aren't completely selfless, they are still meaningful. Every bit of patience, warmth, or generosity helps make the world a little softer. Being kind requires trust in yourself, vulnerability, and courage. That's what makes kindness powerful. It comes from the heart, even when it feels risky or uncertain. One challenge that often comes up is cultural differences. People from different cultures may understand kindness in very different ways. For example, in some cultures, offering direct help is seen as thoughtful and respectful. In others, the same gesture might be misunderstood as implying weakness, pity, or judgment. This doesn't mean you shouldn't be kind. It just means that awareness and sensitivity are important. Pay attention to social cues, ask questions gently if you're unsure, and notice how people respond. Mindful kindness is about how and when you offer support, not just what you do. True kindness respects the other person's comfort and dignity. It's about offering help without imposing it. Another key part of healthy kindness is boundaries. Boundaries are essential for protecting your energy and emotional well-being. Without them, even the kindest intentions can lead to burnout or unhealthy relationships. Boundaries ensure that your kindness comes from a place of strength, not exhaustion. Sometimes, people who care deeply may give too much. They may constantly help others while ignoring their own needs. Over time, this can create codependency, where one person relies too heavily on another for emotional support, or the giver uses kindness to avoid their own struggles. In these situations, kindness loses its balance. It can become harmful instead of helpful. Healthy kindness is different. It means offering support without losing yourself. It's about being generous while also being honest about your limits. You can care for others and still take care of yourself. Saying no when you need to is not unkind. It is necessary. By keeping your boundaries clear, your acts of kindness remain sustainable, authentic, and truly supportive. Kindness is also a practice of mindful awareness. It's not just about doing things for others. It's about understanding the situation, the person, and your own capacity. Mindful kindness balances generosity with self-care, courage with sensitivity, and empathy with wisdom. When you give with awareness, your kindness has a deeper impact. It helps others without draining you, and it teaches you to act from compassion, not obligation. Even small gestures matter. A smile, a listening ear, a gentle word, or a thoughtful action can make a difference. But when these gestures are paired with awareness, sensitivity, and healthy boundaries, they become far more powerful. You not only help others, you also strengthen your own resilience, compassion, and inner balance. In short, kindness is not about giving endlessly or perfectly. It's about giving wisely, caring deeply, and protecting yourself while lifting others. It's about learning to trust your intentions, respect others' needs, and know your own limits. When practiced with mindfulness, kindness becomes a source of strength, connection, and lasting impact for both the giver and the receiver. Balancing kindness for others with care for yourself is important. True kindness doesn't mean giving endlessly until you are empty. It means knowing your limits and being honest with yourself. Saying, "I care, but I also need to rest," is not selfish, it's wise. When you take care of yourself, your kindness becomes stronger and more genuine. The first step to balance is self-awareness. Check in with yourself before and after helping someone. Ask questions like, am I doing this because I genuinely want to help or because I feel guilty? Do I feel energized after this or drained? These reflections help you understand your limits and recognize when it's time to pause or say no. Saying no doesn't make you unkind. It makes you smart. It allows you to give from a place of strength, not exhaustion. Kindness includes caring for yourself. Resting, setting boundaries, and meeting your own needs are all part of mindful generosity. When you nurture yourself, you have more to give. A well-cared-for mind and heart can offer empathy, patience, and compassion in ways that an exhausted or overwhelmed person cannot. That's why self-care and kindness are not separate. They work together. Mindful kindness is about awareness and balance. It asks you to notice your emotions, recognize your limits, and act intentionally. It's not about perfection or being kind all the time. Real kindness respects both the giver and the receiver. It grows from a place of clarity, not obligation. When kindness is grounded in awareness, it becomes a steady, life-giving force. Instead of leaving you drained, it energizes and connects you. Part of mindful kindness is also understanding your own signals. Notice when you're giving too much or stretching yourself beyond your comfort. Pay attention to feelings of fatigue, resentment, or stress. These are reminders that you need a pause or a boundary. By responding to these signals, you ensure that your kindness is sustainable. You build a form of generosity that can last, one that benefits both you and others without causing harm. At its heart, kindness is about intention, respect, and care. It's about acting with awareness, recognizing challenges, and honoring your own needs while helping others. When kindness is practiced this way, it becomes deeper, more authentic, and more transformative. It is not just a quick act or a polite gesture. It becomes a source of growth and connection. True, lasting kindness is a balance. It opens your heart, strengthens your relationships, and nurtures your inner well-being. It is both gentle and powerful. By giving thoughtfully, taking care of yourself, and acting with awareness, you create a kind of kindness that truly transforms lives, the lives of others and your own. When practiced mindfully, generosity becomes a sustainable force, one that brings energy, connection, and joy rather than exhaustion or stress.